All right, we are in Esther chapter 8, and this is the time that we connect from yesterday in chapter 7, after Haman was actually hanged from the gallows that he made for Mordecai, which was the end of chapter 7. So chapter 8 starts this way. On that day, King Ahasuerus gave Queen Esther the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews. So now we have a descriptor for Haman. That in the entire story so far, the king has now found that Haman was really out to destroy Mordecai, Queen Esther, and every one of the Jews in one day. And so now Mordecai came to the king, for Esther had told how he was related to her. So Mordecai is in the king's mind a hero. And Queen Esther is the one that has found favor in her eyes. So, you know, all these has brought the Jewish people together in the leadership of Mordecai as well as Queen Esther. So in verse 2 says, the king took off his signet ring. That was the ring that he had given to Haman. Now he took it back from Haman. He gave it to Mordecai. This is an important thing because the signet ring allows whoever has the ring to make instructions, to represent the king. And Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. Haman has a lot of things, so everything that Haman had, Mordecai took over. Verse 3. Now Esther spoke again to the king. Now, the reason why all this again is because the first time that Esther spoke was in chapter 7. And in chapter 7, it was to explain to the king her request. And now one more time, she fell down at his feet. And in verse 3, this word fall down literally is like Haman falling over the couch. You know, you saw yesterday. This one is fall down at the feet of the king, and literally at his feet. And that's how the you should imagine that Queen Esther is just there at the feet of the king, facing his feet. And then she wept. Literally wailed, I think would be a better word to use. Wail means cry, shed tears, weep very bitterly. To counteract, this word is actually to look for, how should you say, to look for a favor. Look for a favor to counter the evil of Haman. Okay? What is the evil of Haman? Would be that on one day, all Jews will be destroyed. So far, Haman was the only one who was hanged. And the decree is still standing. And that's why Esther is speaking again. And he's seeking favor from the king, right? And the idea here is this. She's looking at a favor from the king to overcome that decree that Haman had done. So remember yesterday we talked about evil. and evil is always in the eyes of the one describing the actions. So when the king was angry, Haman was saying that the king was planning evil against him. When Haman was the one who had the authority, Esther would see the evil of Haman. So now we talk about the evil of Haman, because Haman himself was the one who had actually called for that Haman was the one who actually set the decree. That's why it's seen as the evil of Haman from the eyes of Esther. Okay? And this is a scheme which he had devised against the Jews. Now, verse 4 is just like before. The king has to hold out a scepter toward Esther. Means she has found favor in the eyes of the king. So Esther arose, stood before the king, and said, "If it pleases the king, and if I have found favor in his sight." Again, all these have been repeating itself in the book of Esther. Favor is always in the eyes of the beholder, the one who is granting favor. And this word is grace, right? This word is grace. And the thing seems right to the king that I am pleasing in his eyes. Let it be written to revoke the letters devised by Haman, which he wrote to annihilate the Jews who are in all the king's provinces. How can I endure to see the evil that will come to my people? Why is it evil? Evil, as Esther saw the evil of Haman, that will come to my people, the Jews, would be what is not right, what is going to be bad, that is going to befall the Jewish people. Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my countrymen? So you could see that there are a lot of synonyms, right? We say as destruction of countrymen, annihilate the Jews, right? The evil to come to my people. One of the things that you can see is that in this case, it's a typical Jewish expression saying two things but mean the same, right? The evil that will come to my people will be the destruction of my countrymen, and that would be the annihilation of the Jews. So now Esther has not forgotten her people. I think that is something which I think we can hold on to, because even though Esther got what she wanted with Haman and won the deal, but the main intent is not about Haman, but about saving the people of Queen Esther. So it says here, then the king Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, "Indeed, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and Mordecai is running that house, and they have hanged him on the gallows because he tried to lay the hand on the Jews. You yourselves write a decree concerning the Jews." So the king said, well, since Haman had the signet ring, Haman wrote the decree. Now, if you want this, go ahead, as you please. And this is a great offer. Whatever Mordecai wants, you can say it in the king's name, seal it with the king's ring. For whatever is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring, no one can revoke. And so this is one decree to cancel the other one. And so the king's scribes were called at the time in the 3rd month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day, and was written. Now remember, the time when the Jews were to be killed was also on the 14th day, if I'm not mistaken, in the month of the 12th month. So there is time before it got there. And so it was actually executed in good time before the Jews were all killed. So the scribes wrote according to all Mordecai commanded, to the Jews, the people who were going to be killed, the satraps, the governors, and the princes of provinces from India to Ethiopia, It's 127 provinces, everyone in his own handwriting, every people in their own language, because one of the things, remember, that the Persians didn't do is to force Persian on them. Not like the Greeks. When Alexander the Great came, he forced Greek upon everybody. But here, everybody had their own writing, own language, their own way of doing things, and to the Jews in their own script and language, which we already know that there is a Hebrew language. Verse 10. And he wrote in the name of King Ahasuerus, sealed it with the king's signet ring, which was given to Mordecai, sent by couriers on horseback. Well, those days, they don't use pigeon. They use couriers, meaning people delivering mail. So this is very much like the Wild Wild West in US when you are on the horse to bring letters, riding on royal horses, which would be the best horses, bred from swift steeds, meaning the fastest horses around. By these letters, the king permitted the Jews who were in every city to gather together and protect their lives, to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the forces of any people that would assault them, both little children and women, and to plunder their possessions on one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus on the 13th day of the 12th month. That's where we are, right? It's right here, the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. This is important because although the decree to cancel has gone out, it is to defend themselves in the event that people ignore the decree. And so if the Jews defended themselves against their little children and women and took their possessions, it will be lawful. That's what it means. And so a copy of the document was issued as a decree in every province, published for the people, so that the Jews will be ready on that day to avenge for themselves. If there are Haman's people that will do it, they can defend themselves. And so, verse 14, the couriers who rode on the royal horses went out, hastened, pressed on by the king's command. The decree was issued in Shushan, the palace. So now we come to the end of this chapter. Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, with a great crown of gold and a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. Why were they glad? The city of Shushan comprised of all kinds of people, but I think they also know about Haman. And now they also know about Mordecai, who has been very good to the people. And so now the Jews had light and gladness, joy and honor. They came out to celebrate, and in every city and province where the king's command and decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a holiday. Then many of the people of the land became Jews because fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now this one, we have to work it out. What does it mean to become Jews? Right? I think something which we seldom talk about is how do people become Jews? And fear of the Jews, meaning the Jews that exude their command cause them to fear, or the rules and the suggestions and the commands that came out of the Jews were something that the people will obey. And so this one, became Jews, was interesting. How can one become a Jew? Jews technically are a nation of people with tribes, right? And at the time of King Ahasuerus, coming from the time of King Nebuchadnezzar, who actually took the people from the land of Judah, from the kingdom of Judah, which we find two main tribes, the tribe of the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and then you would have some Levites there with them because it's in Jerusalem. And then do not forget that the Bible also records that at the time of the Assyrians' conquest of the northern kingdom, some of them also migrated down. Some may have married down, and some may have traveled down to do business, and for all kinds of reasons. But the primary tribes were Judah and Benjamin, with some of the Levites. Can anyone who is not the 12 tribes of Israel become Jews? And the idea here is to become a Jew in this concept is actually to follow the religious practices of the Jews. That in itself is important, because the Jew is not they are not a citizen right now, so they are not part of Judah, of the kingdom of Judah. They were, but they are all tribal people from the kingdom of Judah. But more so in this case of when we talk about becoming a Jew, would be more to the religious side. And so there were people who followed the practices of the Jews, and for all intents and purposes became one of them. The only thing that people becoming Jews that they cannot be is be a tribe, because there is no 13 tribes. So they are just a stranger or a visitor or a foreigner amongst the Jews, but practicing everything the Jews would do to worship God. And number two that they cannot do is that they cannot inherit the land. And so becoming Jews is very much from a religious viewpoint than a tribe viewpoint. Okay. We have come to the end of chapter 8. Any questions?
I feel that the fear of the Jews is actually because Mordecai has got the signet ring now, and they also know that this Esther is also a Jew, so they would rather become Jews, than to be foreigners. So they will be safer. Can it be because
In
of
a
that
way,
reason?
we can say that this would be the fear that belongs to the Jews. Yeah, we can say it that way. Because the Jews have come up in society. But the fear here would be the fear that belongs to the Jews. The fear that belongs to the Jews could also be seen of how the Jews fear God. And how the Jews fear God leads them to become Jews. You see, even though they may be Jews and they are in power, they don't have to become Jews. They just become their friends. You see this? The fear that belongs to the Jews, where how the Jews fear God, had fallen on them. It literally...
This them is who?
Them would be the people of the land. Okay, the people of the land, right here. Them.
Okay.
They became Jews because of how the Jews feared God. Because this fear of the Jews is not fear the Jews, There is this particular peculiar word that we have called of. The fear that belongs to the Jews. When they fear the Jews, it would be fear the Jews, fear God.
Okay, I got it.
But because it's the fear of the Jews, and remember what we talked about yesterday is that the whole book of Esther never talked about them praying to God and naming the name, giving the name of God. No, none of those. But we read of them, remember, fasting and not eating. And why do people fast, right? And we say that it's because they are focusing on God and pleading God, but by inference. Now, here becomes a bit clearer also by inference, because it's not like immediately come out, because the phrase fear of the Jews is how the Jews fear God. It came upon them that the God of the Jews is so powerful that even Haman will lose. Even the king listens to Esther and Mordecai. And hence, they became Jews because they came to worship the God of the Jews. This would be how verse 17 would be understood.
So it will be something like becoming Christians, like that.
So they became...
Not the tribe, so
not
much,
the
not
tribe,
the race.
but the faith, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the faith.
Okay.
They became Jews to be fearing God.
Mm.
How the Jews fear God, they came to fear God as well.
Okay.
This is an important verse in verse 17. I guess we have to pay attention to, because this is the only statement that indirectly points to God.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No question.
All right. We will continue tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Pastor.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.